Sorry, I was fixing my mic because I change it to different settings for C-Motionals because we do an omnidirectional recording, and I just realized that I sounded like doo-doo, so I had to change it.
Yeah. Welcome to A4NB4Y, the Zelda-themed podcast where we go chapter by chapter through the game. This week, a finale. I'm your host, Ryan Fonzie, and I am a brie and cranberry strudel that you dropped into your couch. And with me, as always, we have...
I'm Cameron Hagee, the spoon that fell down behind the dishwasher like 4 years ago.
And my name is T. Giggles, and I had 4 lattes today.
All right. And
That's a latte.
That is a lattes, man. And today we actually have a special guest with us. Once again, joining us, friend of the show, Joshua Lindquist. Joshua, say hi.
Hi.
That was beautiful.
Wow.
All right. So
I don't have a silly name.
you don't have a silly name?
No,
You're not anything tonight?
I'm not. I'm definitely not a spoon.
You're definitely not like a piece of tinfoil that just got ripped and is like still perfectly flat and amazing.
Definitely not.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's good to know what you're not. Goodness. Like I said, we have a finale tonight. Last week we covered the Turtle Rock, and today we don't have very much build-up before we can get to our next location, which is our final location, and that being Ganon's Tower. I don't think anybody's going to have too much of a story on how they got to Ganon's Tower. If I'm wrong, just let me know. But
Man,
I ran to the left.
I ran to the left.
man,
I fought
them
a
Lionels
Lionel.
were whack, man.
There were some hard enemies on the way. I just ran past them though.
It was a difficult pass by. Did they Did they tag you? Is that what made it difficult?
One of them tagged me one time, yeah.
All right. It's funny because the upgraded shield can just like totally deflect everything they do.
I was trying to speed by him with the boots.
Yeah.
He's kind of perfectly timed, gave me a little thwack.
Okay, just this is kind of a tangent, but speaking of Lionels, I'm one of those guys who grew up playing only 3D console Zeldas, really. So I had never seen a Lionel until Breath of the Wild, and I thought, at first glance that they were a completely new thing. And I did not realize that they'd been around since, like, The Legend of Zelda, and
First
just
game,
hadn't
baby.
been used in any of the 3D games yet.
Yep, there's still a handful of enemies that have never made the jump.
Yeah.
In Master Mode of Breath of the Wild, spoiler for anyone who's never played Master Mode before, I know this is a big tangent, but they put a Lionel on the Great Plateau. Just chilling, your first 4 shrines,
they
you're at the
do.
beginning of the game. They're like, hey, you want to fight a golden Lionel? And it's not gold, it's like black, I think, but you want to fight a Lionel? It's right here on the Great Plateau. You don't have any weapons other than sticks, but go at it, kid. So, I died, but got my revenge on these two.
I didn't even know they were Lionels when I was running past them.
Yeah, the old school Lionels do not quite put up as much of a fight as the new school folk, but it's all good. So, I feel like I should ask, but I don't know if I need to. Josh, you're familiar with like all of this, right? I mean, I don't think you've actually played A Link to the Past in the last month, but like you've played it a million times, right?
I haven't played it in the last month, but I played it this year.
Cool.
So yes, I've lost count. I don't know how many times I've done this.
Nice.
This is like a fun Saturday afternoon game for me.
Yeah. What's your favorite Lionel?
The one on the left.
Okay. Not like from which game, but that's. I
guess
ran
I
right
could
into
say
that
that,
one.
huh?
No, that was good. That was good.
As for other games, do you know which games they're in? Actually, they're not very many.
No, I know of the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Breath of the Wild. I don't know if I fought one. I mean, I've played Zelda 2, but I don't remember if I fought a Lionel in it or not.
They're definitely not in Zelda 2.
Okay.
So they're in.
I think the only other game they're in is the Oracle games, and maybe only one of them.
Oh.
And the Oracle games, they are very similar to their appearance in The Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
I mean, my favorite's probably Breath of the Wild, because it's the most fleshed out version. There's not anything remarkable about them in the other games. In The Legend of Zelda, they are just known for killing you nearly instantly.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the original Legend of Zelda. I mean, it's like they threw knives at you is what it looked like on screen. But of course, with the pixels that they had, it's sure they might not have actually supposed to have been knives. It might have been magic or something. But to me,
I think it's knives, or maybe it's lasers, because it looks like the same thing that shoots out of your sword.
Right.
Your laser beam. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
laser
intense.
knives.
Laser knives.
That's what I want in my Zelda.
They grow beautiful, luxurious manes and chuck laser knives.
If I'm not mistaken, they can be reflected with the magic shield in that game, so it makes more sense. They're just giant lasers.
I remember being surprised by that.
I don't remember if you can block that or not.
I think if you had the magic shield, you could, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. I feel like that would be a great thing to revisit when we know.
When we get to that game.
Yeah. So yeah, first impressions of Ganon's Tower. What do you mean? Like we get up to the door, the sages, or not the sages, the maidens, excuse me, use the power of the 7 wise men to open up the gate for us. It's like they gave us a staircase basically, and so very much like what happens later on in the Ocarina of Time, and we were able to kind of walk up into this pig statue tower.
I didn't know I was going to be on a game show when I entered Ganon's Tower.
Yeah.
What's behind door number 1?
There are a lot of doors.
There are a lot of doors. Which doors did you get? I went to the left. That's what I did.
I did too. I'm a leftist kind of guy. Like when there's like screen, like doors, not politics. I mean, like when there's doors and places to go in video games, I always start left. I always go
I was
left.
gonna say, I don't think that means what you think it means.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't really remember which way I went first, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. They both pretty much go to the same area. I mean, a different room, but the same goes down, and then within a door or two, you get to the same spot anyways.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this is that it really is just a big circle. But,
yeah. It definitely felt like an arbitrary choice. I remember going through the door being like, oh, which way was I supposed to go again when I first got in here? And then later, I was like, oh, time to try that door on the right. And then I went in and was immediately in a room I had already gone through. And I was like, oh, this door is nothing. Okay.
It's a trap. I've seen lots of people struggle through trying to thinking they have to go both ways for some reason, and you don't.
Yeah.
And actually, left is the right way. I think the right side is more difficult and more annoying.
Gotcha. I feel like I've heard that, but I don't think I've ever experienced it. I think I always tend to go through that left door. Like, it's just obvious to me that the middle door is not where I'm supposed to go first. Something about the Triforce decorations kind of told me this is probably like something I need a key for from somewhere else. So
yeah, and I think the stairs also go up on that one. And the others, the stairs go down.
Right, yeah. So just in my head, I was like, yeah, that's probably later on that I got to do whatever that is, so I'm just going to save that for later. But right and left is what feels like more of an arbitrary choice, and I guess that's not far from the truth. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool rooms in this place. I mean, we could try to go one by one, but I don't think that's a great use of our time. I'm wondering if you guys just had favorite rooms, because there's a lot. This is just chock full of like interesting puzzles. Like I honestly, like I think this is one of the best dungeons in the game. It kind of feels like after they made all these other places, all of the designers came together to pull out their best tricks for this place. But of course, I wasn't on the team, so I wouldn't know that for sure. It just seems really well planned.
I was there back in '92. I remember everything.
But yeah, I mean, I can go first if y'all want. I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
there's so many good ones. Oh my god. Good luck, right? I think in terms of actual favorites, I mean, I like the glass floor tricks. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. Like where you light the lamp and the glass floor comes up. Like, you can actually see it. For one, it's a hint for later on in the game, like for just kind of what Ganon's about. But at the same time, it's something where when you're in that first room, or not the first room, but like one of those early rooms, and you see all these little enemies that are basically floating over nothingness, but they're clearly stopped by something. There's a fake entrance onto that bridge, like over to the right. It's actually really funny because like you can walk out onto it and be standing over the darkness and be like, oh, like one of these directions is probably correct, and like you can try all the different directions and you just fall off every which way because it doesn't actually connect to the rest of the bridge. But you won't know that until you light the torch and see like the whole picture for what it is. I remember going through this room, not being able to figure out the bridge, and then later on, the game puts another like much shorter version of this problem in front of you, where they basically give you a torch to light, and then the bridge shows itself, and it's like, oh, like you make the connection, like there's probably a torch in that big main room. So if I go light that, then I'll be able to see that bridge too. So I don't know. I like that thematically, and also I like that I didn't figure it out at first, but there was another room that showed me the answer that I had to like then take back to the main room.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like the most fun room to play, but I really liked what they did with it.
It sort of gave me Shadow Temple vibes, or I guess, thematics from later on.
Yeah. No, there literally is a room in Ganon's castle where you light a torch and see an invisible bridge. So yeah, no, that's true.
Oh, there is, isn't there? Yeah. I never thought about that.
Okay, well, I guess I could go next then. I don't think mine occur. I don't remember the exact pathing or like when things happen, if you go through the middle after going left or where this was, but there was like a few rooms right in a row where I think you need to defeat all the enemies to get the doors opened up. It's sort of like a 2 or 3 room gauntlet, and there's a few hard enemies with conveyor belts and spikes everywhere, and Igors like spinning around the room shooting lasers at you.
Oh,
and there was some ice, and
That's after the boss room key.
Okay, yeah, those rooms were fun for me. It was a challenge.
The Igors on the conveyors were very good.
That was fun. I love those rooms. I love the gauntlet style rooms. Like I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was good at the game. Like when you get into that room and you're like, all right, there's these 2 guys like on conveyors that are shooting at me every time they look at me. A couple of Zazoks and stuff like that to fight, and like being able to do that after having the practice from the rest of the game, it just, you get out of those rooms and it's so satisfying. You're like, yeah, I just took like minimal damage and did all that. Where if that was in the first dungeon, you'd be completely overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, that's true. And then I think going along with that room, I actually think it was before that room too. There was a room, and it wasn't a puzzle room. It just made me irritated. There was a room with a Goraya. I think it's a Goraya. It's like the mouse looking people that are red. And it was at the bottom of the room, and there was a spike trap moving left and right really fast.
Yeah.
You had to line up your shot to hit him without getting hit by the spike trap, and I definitely lost like at least 6 hearts trying to hit him.
Dude, there's an easy way to do that.
Is there?
Yeah, because he either mirrors or follows the exact move you make, where if you just run into a wall over and over again, you can move him out of that area right up to you, and it's easy peasy.
No!
Yeah, you can just move him right up on out of there.
Why didn't I think of
Just
that?
had to remove your accomplishment there.
I thought I did a good thing too. You're telling me, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I remember the first time I played that room, like, earlier last year, I thought I had to do something with one of those blocks at the bottom of the room. Like, I thought I had to find a key or something. I mean, there's a statue that you can push around, so I think I pushed the statue all the way down to get the blade traps to clear out of the way and stuff. I ended up taking so much damage doing a bunch of needless stuff. Because you don't need to do any of that. You just need to fight the two enemies and you can move on.
Right.
Oh, goodness. But, there was me trying to push on every block, trying to fight off these red guys while, like, moving a statue through the entire room.
Well, because some of these rooms really are, you have to push just one block. So I definitely get it.
Yeah. Yeah, this room just tricked me out the first time I played it. This time it was a lot faster because I knew that. I'm like, maybe if I just fight these guys, it'll just open up. And it did.
You got anything else, Anthony?
Nah.
I guess I'll go into a couple of memorable things that happened to me here. First, I'll go over, I guess, the things that kind of gave me trouble. The room with the fireballs that are just like the 4 sets of fireballs in the tiny alleyways that are just as big as your character. And you had to move through them and then push the one block to make the chest appear to hookshot across the gap with there's no other thing to get to. For some reason, the stress of those fireballs chasing me and hitting me over and over again, I think even taking one of my fairies, I could not see that block as being something I had to move for a while. It's probably like 45 seconds I was running around there going, what did I do? And then I realized there's only one block here that's like so out of place, it looks like I should push it. And I did, and it worked, and I was like, yeah.
Darn you, hindsight.
That gave me some trouble.
Instinctively, I pushed that block and it worked, and I was like, oh, good guess.
Yeah, I've been looking at the map of this dungeon trying to pick a room, and wow, this dungeon is not laid out the way I thought it was.
No, yeah, I'm like scrolling through a walkthrough.
Yeah, this dungeon's a lot.
Cam, did you have another room you're going to mention?
When you fight the first boss again on the ice floor,
Oh, yeah?
and you got to run up to get the big key. Yeah, the first time I did that, I ran left.
Yep, I was going to say that not on the favorite room section, but least favorite room section. I still do that. I've done it probably nearly every time I played this game.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. I always go the wrong way.
And the door closed behind me, and I looked at my map, and I saw the room that went up had no other exits, and it was obviously like the treasure room for beating. And I was like, ah.
Yeah.
And then you have to walk all the way back around and resolve some of the puzzles.
Yup.
Yeah.
It's funny because, like, so the first room I got into, I saw the Triforces and said, okay, that's probably later in the dungeon. I probably can't just run straight towards that door. This room has those same Triforce emblems. But in my head, I'm like, well, I did just fight a boss, so there's probably like a reward this way. Like, this is probably what I'm supposed to do after that epic fight. And it turns out that's like the right thing to do.
Yep.
But I get it. Like, I get why you would just go left.
It felt bad, man.
I don't know. I just find that kind of funny. I think what's really funny about that fight, though, is that they are chump change this time around. Like, these guys are nothing. Like, when they were an
Silver
actual
arrows.
boss.
That was another thing I was going to mention, was how good it feels with our power right now to obliterate the original 3 bosses of this game. 1 silver arrow apiece per these knights. Then you fight the little guys that come out of the ground. And then those are 1 silver arrow. Yes, the Landmolas. Those are 1 silver arrows apiece. And then if you have the gold sword, you kill
Moldorm.
the big worm thing. Yeah, that one.
Moldorm.
Terrible with the
2
names.
hits, right?
I think, is it 1 or 2 when you have gold sword?
I got him. I think it was 2, but maybe I miscounted. I don't know. I thought it was 2 hits.
It's not 1 unless maybe a spin attack. Maybe a spin attack does 1. Otherwise, I don't think it's 1. But
I just don't remember
easier.
him getting the chance to speed up at all. I just hit him and then hit him again. He's like, oh.
Yeah. Right. I was expecting the angry face. I'm like, oh, let me catch the pattern like I learned way back when. And then I hit him twice and he died. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Didn't you?
did
Like,
anyone actually fall?
not this time around, no. I mean, he has a nicer arena, I think, than the first time you fight him.
Yeah, there's more space. If you fall, it's a room full of spikes. And then whiz robes.
Oh,
So it is a little bit mean if you fall.
Gotcha. No, I didn't fall.
welcome to Wizards 101.
It's not just a room full of free hearts this time.
Wow.
And then I like the gauntlet, like Anthony. I just like combat in games. The gauntlet was combat, although the Igors annoyed me, and I took a lot of damage from them throughout it.
Yeah. We get our red tunic in this place.
Yeah, we do.
It's pretty fun. I don't know. I feel like because we just got the blue tunic, like 3 dungeons ago? Maybe it's a little bit more spread out. I mean, than it could be, but it did feel very fast. It's like, didn't I just do this? Like, didn't I just get a tunic that does the same thing?
Yeah, I think the red tunic is kind of intended to be a callback to The Legend of Zelda, because the red ring is in the final dungeon there as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you get the defense boost at the end to help with the final boss.
Yeah, I remember that. There was a blue ring that you could like buy or something,
You
right?
could buy it, yeah.
The red one was like a hidden item that you didn't need, but if you went digging, you would find it, and it'd make the rest of the game a little easier. And by the rest of the game, I mean like the last 5 rooms.
Which is still helpful.
Right.
That dungeon is rough.
Yeah.
And this tunic also completes our color journey from green to blue to red.
Oh, yeah. Josh, I don't know if you've been listening to this latest season, but we've gotten into some color theory and some chakra stuff and some like all these like random outside influences that we've been seeing in the game.
I don't recall the color theory part. I do know the chakra.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I had never heard or considered that before.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it's so basically I think maybe an episode before Anthony talked about just how everything in the game seems to transition from green to blue to red in terms of like enemy difficulty, things like that. Like a lot of enemies have different color variants, but it always goes in that same pattern when it goes up in power.
Yeah, and even the dungeons would have more green enemies in the beginning and more red towards the end, almost symbolizing like the transition and journey through the dungeon.
Yeah. It's funny. I read I didn't read the whole interview, but I read like a little snippet from an interview. I'm trying to remember who it was with, but they basically talked about how like at the essence of every Zelda game is growth. Like they always try to like make a point of like Link has to grow as he goes along. Like that's, I mean, obviously like there are really straightforward calls to this where like, you know, there's progressive power where you'll get like a bracelet that lets you pick up stuff, and then you'll get like, you know, a gauntlet that picks you up something bigger or whatever, and this game does that as well. But then there's like thematically growth as well. I mean, part of that, I mean, obviously we get these tunics, and the blue and the red, like they both double your defense basically, but it also is there to show that Link himself is supposed to be at that level now. So I don't know, it is really cool. Along those same lines, the fact that we fight the 3 original bosses again, we literally just got done talking about how thematically like they represent growing in courage, wisdom, and power. So they putting them all here in the last dungeon together just to give you like a showcase of these 3 things. It just goes back to that same allegory, you know.
It like symbolizes your growth.
Yeah.
How you can like walk over something that was a massive struggle at one point like it's nothing now.
Yeah, you just tear through them now. It's like yeah, like clearly you've grown in this respect.
I wonder if that's also applied to the 3 doors at Ganon's Tower. Not really sure what the right one was.
We just lost you a little bit.
You lost me.
Not lost you, but you turned into a robot for a second there.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, maybe it's just me.
No robots here.
I don't want to be a robot.
Or in Ganon's Tower.
I don't know. I think we already killed these bosses. They might be robot remakes. I am Moldorm. Shika, shika, shika.
Ganon has a whole droid factory in the Dark World.
I am Boldrom.
Yeah, looking at the map, I don't know if the right path really is any less puzzly than the left path.
Yeah, I was going to say, we might be able to pick up a theme if you were to say like the gauntlet rooms or power rooms, you know. But I don't know. It didn't seem, I mean, glass floor could be arguably courage, but wisdom, I mean, there were some puzzle rooms, but I don't know. I don't want to pick it apart quite that much. I feel like that would be a project in itself, and I did not prepare that ahead of time.
Yeah, I didn't prepare it either, so I wasn't sure if you guys had any input in that. It was 3.
I mean, maybe you can make the argument that the green represents the beginning of the dungeon, and then it gets a little heavier on the puzzles, which could be the blue, and then the gauntlets at the end, which is power, and that's the red. So you could make an argument for that. Mm-hmm. Although I feel like that's a general, like, layout for most dungeons and Zelda games. You start at the beginning. There's always going to be a beginning. Then there's always going to be some puzzles, and then there's going to be a boss for power. So,
Yeah, that's true. I'm seeing a lot of like torch puzzles later on.
Yeah.
Remember a room with a couple of Dodongos that was pretty fun to like run around the room and avoid fireballs and take care of those guys. But yeah, nothing too crazy, I don't think. And not until we get to our actual boss fight. Are we ready to go into that?
it's easier.
It is easier. It is Aghanim once again.
Yeah, not Ganon at Ganon's Tower. Why would Ganon be at Ganon's Tower? That's crazy. It's Aghanim.
I love how there's a bat on the welcome mat, and then you go in and it's Aghanim.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the setup too.
Isn't that the plot twist though?
That it's Aghanim, or the plot twist halfway through this fight. What do you like? Which one are you? Or at the end of this fight? I guess you could argue
Aghanim is Ganon.
Yeah. Some might call it a twist. Some might call it a hole.
It's M. Night Shyamalan directing this game.
Pretty much. I mean, doesn't Ganon refer to him as his alter ego? So I don't.
He absolutely
Yes,
does.
I don't know if you can. That's like saying
Batman
that somebody
and
that has
Bruce.
multiple personality disorders. Are they really like 8 different people, or is it one
So-
kind of fractured person?
I always thought it was just that was the way that Ganon could present himself in the world of light, and that was it. He just wasn't able to fully form himself outside the dark world.
So he wasn't able to bring his wish powers to the regular world. Like, right? I mean, that's the issue.
At least not yet. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was still able to cure that disease, man.
He was able to cure that plague back in the day. Win over everybody's trust.
That's right. That's how he got it all.
No, it definitely is a confusing piece. So we defeat him. We defeat Aghanim. He splits into 3. That's his main gimmick.
Yeah, he's got 2 shadows now that you can't hit, and they always throw out the ball that you can hit back, the attack that you can hit back. So if you just stand in a way that you're like going to hit one of the shadows' balls back at the main guy, the one that's not like a ghost, you always get a hit.
Yeah.
You might have to take a hit to get that hit, but it's a pretty quick fight.
How do you tell them apart?
I think one's red.
It's it might as well be the case.
Yeah.
No, it's just they didn't really hide. I mean, normally when characters split up like this, you have to watch for a mannerism. This one, not even close. It's just very obvious the entire way.
Yeah, even when they turn into shadows and move around the room, the shadows are lighter from the ghost than the real one. So you always know where the real one is. Always.
So yeah, there's like I'm seeing a screenshot here of like a dead Aghanim cloak and like a ghosty Ganon popping out of it to let you know he's that Aghanim was his alter ego.
Dun dun dun.
So Aghanim, I mean, he started out this fight saying that you're not gonna see him a third time, which I mean I guess is technically true. But Ganon does do this thing at the end of this fight where he flies away on a bat, and then you follow him with the bird that does not exist in the Dark World. But you use it in the Dark World for this cutscene.
True.
They kind of like took all these weird systems that they set up and just like kind of flushed them for this sequence. They're like, oh no, these kids are going to be in it. They're not going to be paying attention to details like that.
Duck to the rescue.
I just thought it was funny.
He's a good duck.
He is a good duck.
It might arguably also be an enclosed room. I can't really tell.
I think yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like maybe that's a fence. Like that's like a lookout tower at the top. Like maybe it flies through the window.
Yeah, it's like a Roman Colosseum type deal at the bottom with pillars. So I think that's how they tried to replicate the top of it as well. Is like the open windows and the Romanish pillars holding it. Yeah. So it's like what Vaughn said.
Yeah, because you can see light coming in like from the left and upper sides of the room.
Oh, true that.
So I think we're at the top of the tower for this fight. But then Ganon goes flying over to his pyramid of power and smashes through the ceiling.
I wonder where the final boss fight is.
It's a one-room wonder over here.
And if you didn't know, he literally drops you off there.
Yeah, and he did that as a bat. Like he didn't just transform into Ganon and then fall through the thing. He just bat formed it straight through the top of the pyramid. Like that is one strong bat.
I
right.
did notice that too. I was waiting. I was like, is he gonna bat it, or is he gonna like turn into Ganon and then use his full weight to smash through it? And I saw the bat go through. I'm like, oh man, he's hard.
Just imagine you like staring at your Game Boy screen, like sweat dripping down your face. He's about to bat this thing. There's no way.
Out of context baseball references.
Oh goodness. So yeah, I mean, at this point, I usually like don't jump right down the hole, even though that seems to be what the game wants me to do. I usually go and just restock on anything I'm missing. I get fairies, I heal up, grab a potion, all while he's presumably just sitting in his pyramid. Like, I thought Link was coming. What's going on?
I had one fairy left, man.
Yeah, you can imagine he sees the duck like drop you off at the top, and he's just waiting. Like, what? What's going on?
It's like, hey, this fight is all like intense and all, and I'm definitely feeling it. Like, don't get me wrong, definitely all about the adrenaline of jumping down there after you. But just got a few things I need to pick up first. A few errands to run.
Might have to prepare.
I'll be right back. Just wait right here. I think it's funny, but
You go back to the light world. You have a couple drinks with the bros. You know, just relaxing, take a nap.
go sit down and have a chat with Sahasrara. Just be like, so listen, I'm in the final fight right now. Ganon turned into a bat, smashed right into a pyramid. You got any tips?
He's like, what are you doing here?
It's like,
Jump in the hole?
It's like, you get the Master Sword? Yeah, man, it's golden at this point. I mean, look at this thing. It's like, I think you got what you need. You should just...
How sparkly are your arrows? They're pretty sparkly. All right, you're good, dude.
You're good. You're good.
Does your shield reflect lasers by chance? It does. Okay, yeah, you go in there then.
It's too bad Ganon doesn't have any lasers.
Yeah.
Well, he has fireballs.
Got some really annoying fireballs, though.
Which you also can't reflect, even though I'm pretty sure the description of the red shield said it could do that. It's never been a thing.
Rip. I think I might have found like the best way to, or the best place to fly to get a bunch of fairies really quick. I think it's number 5, all the way on the right-hand side of the screen. You get dropped off right outside of a cave that has 4 fairies in it, and if you go over to the left, like 2 screens, there's a cave with a great fairy in it to fully heal you.
Yeah.
You can fully restock and get a full heal within like 45 seconds to a minute.
Nice.
And that's what I did. And then I flew back, and I got wrecked by Ganon like 4 times. It kept falling off, and I didn't have fun. I ran out of mana or magic the one time.
Yeah.
Gotta bring a potion.
Fell off the platform once, and then I think I got him the second try.
I did bring a potion after that, and didn't need it.
I fall off every once in a while now.
Yeah.
But just to remind myself what's down there.
The way out.
I'm pretty sure I was 1 hit away from him when I ran out of magic, too. Because when I got back to the fight, I got to the same spot, and I was like, I think this is how many times I hit him before. And I hit him one more time, and he died, and I was like, oh, cool. I think I probably had to go into that fight about 5 or 6 times to actually take him down between falling off and running out of mana, magic.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what he says when you first start the fight. He basically says he's about to fulfill his wishes. Just to basically say, I'm going to win this thing, right? And then you get into a big fight, and then about halfway through, he's like, you're doing pretty good, lad. He's like,
Can you break through the secret technique of darkness?
Right.
On guard.
On guard. It's a fantastic. That's basically a 90s reference, like in general, at this point. But yeah, no, he starts doing that thing where he makes the whole room dark, and you just have to light a couple of torches, and you'll get a little bit stunned. And this is where you need silver arrows, as far as I know. I think I've seen a video of somebody doing it without, but I do not know how they managed it. I forgot entirely. Something to do with spin attacks and like chipping away at his health.
You can do it for sure without the golden Master Sword. Like, you have to have the Master Sword at least. But if you have just the Master Sword, you have to use spin attacks to damage him. But I don't know of a way to kill him without silver arrows.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I just remember seeing a video about it, but I don't remember how it was done.
I know how to warp to the room and be in the room after Ganon is dead and just skip the fight.
No?
I've
You can do that.
Yeah, I've seen the speed run where you like jump through the wall and just run past
Yep.
him while he's like throwing his spear around.
That is exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, and you just walk
You
right
run
up to the
through the walls.
Triforce without worrying about it. Yeah. But yeah, you get that technique down of getting him stunned, shooting him with an arrow. I mean, it's pretty repetitive, I would say. I mean, he does destroy the outer floor and everything. Yeah.
Phase 1.
It's a challenging fight, but it's not a complicated fight, but it's challenging. Like, I still bring fairies in and a potion and all that now, and this was one of the first games I ever finished as a kid. So,
Yeah.
and like I said, I still fall off occasionally. Still have to pay attention to make sure I'm not, I try just to avoid getting anywhere near the edge. Just want to stay in the middle as much as possible.
Right.
And never swing your sword at him when you're like standing anywhere near the edge, because you bounce back.
Right. Like you always got to pick the right angle to hit him from if he's near the edge. Yeah.
I don't know how many times I went to like so close to the edge that Link isn't running full speed when you try to run back onto it. So many times.
I just noticed that his boss room, like his boss fight room here, I mean, aside from the fantastic Triforce carpet that he has, he also does have a red Triforce pattern marked on his walls, which is interesting. I mean, all through his tower, they were all green, and they're red. I don't think there are any blue ones in the game. Just a weird observation, but I don't know. Speaking of their whole green to blue to red thing. But we wrecked this guy, right?
Did we, though?
What?
What's everyone's like most difficult part of the fight? Does everybody agree that the hardest part is at the end when you're lighting the torches and you have like half a second to hit him with your sword before he's vulnerable to silver arrows after you light a torch, but the other torch also has to be lit? It's gotta be like the lighting the second one.
I mean, consistently, I think that is harder than the first phase. That at some point during this fight, Ganon decided he was going to do this thing where he just kind of DVD logos his way around the room, kind of like vanishing and reappearing over and over again. And he never, he didn't stop. He did this like straight up like 10 times in a row, and I was just running around the room trying to hit him. And he wasn't really attacking. He just decided, like, I'm just gonna be tricky. Like that's just what I'm gonna do right now. It's just bounce around and waste everybody's time.
You got an unlucky AI track.
So.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% confident of this, but usually what I do during that phase is stop chasing him.
Just wait for him to be done.
Well, yeah, you just let him stomp on the ground, and then you can run up and hit him. Or, I guess he throws his fireball around. If you hit him, he stomps on the ground, and part of the floor falls away. And you've got to do that 4 times. But if you keep chasing him to where he spawns, then he just keeps running away.
Okay.
So I believe you have to back off a little bit to give him a moment and then go at him. Otherwise, you'll just be there forever.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was doing it to myself, is what you're saying.
Possibly.
He needs his elbow room, man.
Like, dude, will you lay off? I know I'm like the evil lord, but geez.
But no, like I generally agree the final phase is the most difficult, but only from I think more people lose the fight from falling in the hole than from actually dying at that point. The phase where he's throwing the fire bats everywhere is probably where I take the most damage.
Yeah.
Which technically I think is phase 2 of 4-ish phases.
Yeah, that one is hard. They have to be completely off your screen and then a little for them to not actually attack you. But generally, if he's like in the upper right corner and he does it and you go to the bottom left, you can only maybe get 3 bats thrown at you out of all the fireballs. I found that's the best way to go about it. You just try to get the other ones so far off your screen that they don't even turn into bats and actually go at you.
No, I've never done that. Like, I don't usually bother with this trick, but some people like to use the magic cape and just...
Oh,
yeah. Or the cane of burn or whatever.
If you have the magic to spare, you can.
If you have, like, magic potions and that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I brought a green potion and didn't even use it. I could have just had free invincibility.
Yeah, I think I just got into the middle of the circle and just went at it. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've got the red tunic, so...
Yeah, I usually I'm just like, whatever, and just... I know that if I just go whack him a bunch, then the fight will continue to the next phase pretty quick, so...
Yeah, one of the times I got into phase, like one of the last phases really fast. Like he only did 2 or 3 attacks. I would literally hit him like 6 or 7 times every time he sat still. And he moved on after every like time I got done bashing him. So, I guess I'm done with that.
Maybe the golden sword is definitely a game changer. I never got the golden sword the first time I played this. And everything just goes faster when you get that thing, including this fight. Like, it's much better way to go.
And I'm gonna level with you guys here. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Ganon was hard, and he did beat me a few times. He was challenged. He brought the goods, but Mothula is still my least favorite guy to fight in this game. After beating all the bosses, I can confidently say that I still would rather fight Ganon 100 times than ever step back into the ring with Mothula.
So Mothula, Ganon's a more technical fight. Like, you actually have to do something special. And Mothula is just kind of, we're going to throw every possible hazard at you all at once.
Yeah.
See if you can hit this guy.
Yeah, and then there's the beautiful bug in the original version where if you hit him and he goes into the spikes and gets hit by the spikes, it ignores all damage you dealt prior to getting hit by the spikes. So the fight can literally last forever if you keep hitting him into spikes.
Yeah.
I did not
thank
know
you.
that.
It's wonderful.
It's
I learned that from watching some speedruns.
yeah, he was definitely a rough fight for sure. I agree. But mainly because, conveyor belts and spike traps.
Yes.
Right, I mean, it's just,
The arena was so bad.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Mothula is only in one other Zelda game. Well, as a boss, only in one other Zelda game. And it's also kind of annoying, but it's not that annoying. There are Mothulas in the Wind Waker, but they are just regular enemies.
Yeah, and they're a lot easier than I remember. I just got done playing Wind Waker just this week, and man, those Mothula, I did not realize how many times they're actually vulnerable to being hit. Like, I thought they had all kinds of weird armor points that they just don't actually have. I don't know why I thought that, but yeah, because they do have like a way to block you, but when they're flying around or whatever, like, you can just do a jump strike and knock them right out the air. Like, they're pretty.
Boomerang, Deku Leaf. There's lots of ways to mess them up. So definitely Mothula's been toned down since original appearance.
Yeah. I just looked them up in the Wind Waker. I do remember them.
Yeah, very memorable enemy in
Forgot that was Mothula. I didn't know that was actually Mothula because I never played LTTP. But yeah, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, the little baby versions are called Morths, I believe.
The ones that just stick to you when you run by.
Right.
Yeah, no, those things are probably the cutest and most obnoxious enemy, because they're just mobility like inhibitors. They don't actually hurt. They just look at you and stick onto your clothes. I don't know. I've always been a fan of them, even though I hate them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fun enemy design. But okay, so we are we ready to talk about this finale sequence?
Yeah. We have a little chat with certain essence
Right.
of something.
So I mean that's probably the big thing, right? That's the big oddity to mention here. I'm pretty sure we've read in the user manual or something along those lines that the Triforce is supposed to be a non-sentient, like, inanimate object that doesn't make decisions about the good or evil intentions of who's picking it up. It just does the wish.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they just said, like, it just outright said, like, this is an object, like, that's why it doesn't matter who gets it, like, it's something's gonna happen. But then when you come up to it, you immediately get greeted by the essence of the Triforce that has a full-on conversation with you about, like, making a powerful wish. And
So I'm going to give you my point on this.
okay,
Because I do remember talking about that user manual, it being some inanimate object. I like to think of the Triforce now as like a Sith holocron from Star Wars,
oh wow, okay.
where it does have powers, but
I'm so
like
lost with those words.
Sith, but
That's what you call a deep cut, Cam. Like, he just went miles into a different lore. All right.
But what I'm saying is, like, so the Sith itself, like, he imbued his thoughts and message into the holocron so that he could give whatever instructions to whoever's using the holocron, those wisdoms. So I like to think that the gods Din, Nehru, and Faur maybe imbued a message as the Triforce essence in a sense to give it to whoever was listening, or whatever. I tried.
It's the goddess's Horcrux.
Yeah.
So there's a few points here. This is not the first time we've seen the Triforce speak. It is the first time in a video game that the Triforce has spoken.
Okay.
But in the animated television series,
Oh God.
which only has 2 Triforces, because at the time the Triforce of Courage had not been established yet. That was not established till Zelda 2, and was locked away in the Great Palace. So the other Triforces, they speak kind of in just bits of wisdom. Like the Triforce of Wisdom just gives off random knowledge. My favorite one is, I think Ganon picks it up at some point, and it says, "Evil is the path you choose, and evildoers always lose." And so they do speak. You don't see the Triforce of Power as much, since Ganon has it, but the Triforce of Wisdom sits around Hyrule Castle telling Link and Zelda things.
Wow.
So it's possible that they pulled from things they had already done, but it's also... It may just be a storytelling mechanism, because the manual has a story, right?
Yeah.
But this was really the beginning of the Legend of Zelda's lore, per se.
Yeah.
Like, the story with the goddesses didn't exist until Link to the Past, and like at the end of Zelda 2, you use the full Triforce to wake the sleeping Zelda, but I don't think they had established that having all 3 of them just literally granted whatever you wanted. Ocarina of Time takes it a step further and kind of makes it out that the Triforce does have a say, to an extent, that if you don't have all 3 qualities in balance, then when you take the Triforce, it will split.
Right.
And then you have to go get it again. Which is kind of cheating, but that was, of course, not all in place for this.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, taking that retcon for what it is, you could almost just argue this Ganon had all 3 qualities, but just legitimately chose evil. Like, it's kind of funny to think about this, but I'm just imagining Ganon when he first found the Triforce, after he killed all of his thief underlings, like going up to it and hearing this exact spiel about, like, well, if you're good, it'll be good, and if you're evil, it'll be evil. And he's like, oh yeah, that's what I want. Like, just
and see, there is some retcon there too, because it's kind of a matter of, do you take the game exactly as they presented it, right? 7 wise men, Ganondorf, the king of thieves, and all of that, or do you take it in the greater context it's been given now, where this Ganon is Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, who already got the Triforce. It already got split into 3, and he already won and got all 3 again. Because this game takes place after Link dies, is the story.
okay.
So, and technically he's still the king of thieves, because he was the king of the Gerudo and their thieves. So, they finagled it and made it work. It was clearly not the intent, originally. When A Link to the Past was made.
Okay. Well, I'll throw it out there. I mean, I'm usually a game for what it is. Like, I don't like connecting the games together. Like, I do that when I feel like you can learn something about a character, or like you can use a game to kind of speak to the qualities of a story point in another game. But I don't usually try to make hard connections unless the games themselves try to do that.
And The Legend of Zelda doesn't do that super often.
Right.
Like, there are direct sequels in some cases, and then there are direct references occasionally. But as far as tying them directly together, but especially where this early in the series' lifetime, it was clearly not intended.
Right.
And there's conflicting info early on of whether this was, since this was Zelda 3, there was conflicting info if this was actually supposed to be a sequel to Zelda 2, or if it was a prequel to Zelda 1. And then, of course, every time a new Zelda game came out, the question immediately became, well, how does it fit together? Which maybe as a holdover because Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 did fit together.
Yeah.
And so we just assume they all do. And, the
Yeah.
official word from Nintendo is they fit together. But you can take it or leave it to some extent, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
you don't-
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you don't have to follow the timeline and all the lore. Like, I think there's a lot of interesting things you can learn from it, but you do have to accept that some parts just are going to be weird.
Yeah, they're just not going to make sense in the long run. I mean, it's not going to match up perfect. I definitely remember that time of, especially, you talked about Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, but like even, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, like once we got into 3D, like suddenly like we had one Link and they were connected in the first couple games, and then suddenly you had Wind Waker and it was like everyone was like, wait a minute. Why is there a second Link? Like, what does this all mean?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that time, like the late 90s, early 2000s, just having those thoughts of like, why is there more than one Link? How does this all work? Like, what are the connections? Like, what, like this isn't the same hero, or is it the same hero? Like, just having that mentality. And then them not really addressing it all. Like, they're like, oh yeah, they're connected, but like, it's up to you to figure out. And then suddenly, Skyward Sword came out and they're like, here's a timeline.
Yeah, and some of it was just not very clear back then.
Right.
There are lots of developer interviews where they just flat out say, yeah, this game takes place here. Like, by the time Ocarina of Time came out, we knew Ocarina of Time was the first Zelda game of the 5 that we had. Like, that was just known. And then Majora's Mask was obviously a sequel. The story didn't really get weird until the Wind Waker, and then we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Everything you knew flooded.
The end of Ocarina of Time's a little bit funny, isn't it? It has multiple endings. And but until then, it was really kind of straightforward how the story went together. And now we just have a somewhat convoluted mess, but
and they can't make a game without referencing an older game. Like, there's no more standalone Zeldas. Like, it's just
there kind of are, right? But because Nintendo gave us a timeline because we wanted it.
Yeah.
Fans spent a decade making their own, and but Breath of the Wild is literally 10,000 plus years removed,
and yet references every game,
which is mostly just for fun, right? Like, they called it Tingle Island and misspelled Tingle. Just, it's cute. And
I did watch a crazy lore timeline fan video. I'll have to link it to you guys. It was on YouTube. I really wish that I could credit the actual YouTuber who created this video, but I cannot for the life of me remember his name or YouTube channel. But if you search something along the lines of connecting Zelda timeline to Breath of the Wild, something along the lines of that, he has this video where I think it was Hyrule Warriors 2, Age of Calamity. He makes it is convoluted, but he makes a lot of fair points in the story of that game as to why every single Zelda game is somewhat present in Breath of the Wild and how all the timelines kind of end up in Breath of the Wild. It's really interesting if you like the timeline to watch that video, but it also doesn't really, like, if you don't feel like Breath of the Wild should be included in that timeline, it's just a standalone game, then that's fine too. But it was really cool to see his points.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the first Hyrule Warriors would have been a better candidate for that, but
maybe it was one.
I can understand where Age of Calamity could make that argument for why Breath of the Wild would tie into everything.
Yeah,
since it involves a literal time traveling robot.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, like, clearly they want the creative freedom to do what they want and not have to be strictly adhering to older storylines all the time.
And yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's room for both in the industry. Some series are linear stories, but when you want your series to last for 30 plus years under several different development teams, that becomes a mess.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we were talking about the Triforce, and that's how we got on the timeline tangent.
We were, yeah. So, so Link splits the timeline. Just kidding. He,
Well, he did.
he, I mean, his wish does a lot. I mean, it doesn't tell you what his wish actually is, other than that it's good. I think I literally just listened to another podcast say this exact same statement. But if you were to go back and listen to like the Book of Medora podcast about this game, their explanation is that his wish is simply all things good. Like he just basically put the world back together to what it was before all of this Ganon stuff happened. And basically you see, your uncle recovers and the priest recovers and the King of Hyrule returns, who, we found out from the user manual was no more. So just a lot of this stuff gets undone. And it's funny.
The bully made a friend.
The bully made a friend.
Favorite part. 10 out of 10.
The bug catching kid isn't sick anymore.
The buzzards rule the desert. I don't know why the buzzards rule the desert now. I don't know why that was like a celebratory thing.
I think the ending just wanted to show off every locale for some reason.
Every locale. The thing is, like, it starts off with these victory stories, and then about a third of the way in, it just turns into a casting call.
Yeah.
And it just starts showing people, and just like with a little title block, it's like, oh, the potion shop and her assistant, or the potion, lady.
Flippers for sale, about $3.50.
Yeah, they're just standing there like mixing potions. Yeah, flippers for sale.
I think that was a little bit. I don't know if trendy is the word, but it was common in the SNES era to have those kind of casting calls at the end. Super Mario World does that. Right, it shows off every enemy in the game at the end, every character, and even like the Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy VI has like a 20-minute ending that has to address like every character and what happened to them at the end. And it's kind of the same thing, right? But like the witch isn't doing anything, but here's your proof that she's still there.
I needed that. I was so worried.
Her assistant finally walked outside.
Oh, goodness. I think my favorite was when it shows you Link and his uncle, and his uncle has the sword that he gave you at the beginning of the game, and you have like the mega golden sword that you've been upgrading this whole time, and you both do like a little spin attack together because it's the family secret technique.
Oh, jeez.
So
Yeah,
good.
that was pretty cute.
So choice.
But it was a good ending. I liked it. It was simple.
For sure.
And you know what else we have an ending for, right?
Oh, yeah. We have the manga. Oh,
Heck
my goodness.
yeah.
This episode's going to be so long. No, it's fitting for a finale.
Ishinomori.
Yeah. So, as you may have remembered from the last time you were on the show, we have been going through the Ichinomori manga of A Link to the
Best
Past.
one. Yep.
And by going through, I mean we've been going through the synopsis as presented on the Zelda fandom wiki.
Yeah, this is a really good manga.
Yeah, and we last left off. They're about to head to Ganon's Tower, right?
Yes. They left Rome behind.
Yeah, they were right on the last paragraph of chapter 11. So right after footnote 167. And we basically have one paragraph and then a final chapter here. How do we want to split up the reading?
I could take this first one.
Okay. I'll take the second paragraph. Cam, you want to finish this out?
I got you.
All right.
All right. So we left off with Rome leaving Link because he doesn't believe he's the guy. And we're left with Link and Zelda. The two continue on without Rome and eventually find Ganon's Tower, although they are not able to find its entrance. Suddenly, Rome appears and admits he has failed to find the arrows. Overwhelmed by his failure, Rome transforms into an eagle and flies up to the tower, worrying Link since Rome's emotions are out of control and could cause him to remain a beast forever. Zelda then asks for the aid of the maidens, which allows them to enter the pitch dark tower, so pretty game, oriented right now.
Yeah.
And inside, the group is attacked by illusions of Link's past foes.
Oh.
And when Rome attacks a specter of Aghanim approaching Zelda, he is killed, with Ganon rising from the illusion.
All right, so that's like the speed track version of what we just played then.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Taking the. We joked about them being robots, but the idea of the past bosses.
Yeah, not robots.
Of past foes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a pretty nice reading. I actually kind of like that.
I wish I had a cool bird friend in the game.
Right?
What if Rome is the duck? You know?
Oh no.
I know it says eagle in the manga, but
Oh, it's headcanon now.
He
is what
turns
that
into
is.
a bird eagle character whenever he gets angry or fights things.
He's been trapped in Kakariko Village for aeons.
can the title of this episode be Rome is duck confirmed?
Now I want a mod for the game. I want a mod that changes the duck statue to like a Rome statue. That would be great.
And it's got the Rome haircut, the duck. All right, so we can move on to this next chapter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So far we're pretty in line with the game aside from the Rome bit. Chapter 12, the final battle. All right. Link attacks Ganon, but he is easily thrown back by Ganon's trident. Zelda takes up Rome's crossbow as Link is trapped in between the trident. While Ganon mocks Zelda, Link uses the opportunity to slash the evil thief's trident in half. And as he is falling down, the young hero slashes over Ganon's chest, leaving him paralyzed. Zelda begins to ask for the aid of the maidens and fires an ordinary arrow from the crossbow. But as it approaches Ganon, the power of the maidens, Zelda, Link, and Rome turn the arrow into the silver arrow, destroying Ganon. The Triforce rises from his body, and the essence of the Triforce tells Link that the Triforce is waiting for a new master now that Ganon has been defeated, asking that the young hero touch it with a wish in his heart. As Link touches the Triforce, Ephramelda sadly bids him goodbye, and Link and Zelda are transported back to Hyrule.
Yep.
Okay. That feels very retro ending to the story. I like the little image here of like all their powers combined with the arrow flying through the air.
With the power of friendship. Can we say how like much of a G Ganon is in that photo though? He's got a gold pearl necklace on with some gold bracelets.
Yeah.
Biggie Ganon over here.
Oh, jeez. With that nose, it's more like Piggy Ganon over here.
Oh. It already wasn't a good joke.
You cannot fire regular arrows at Ganon in the game. Don't try it.
You can't even do it?
Wait, really?
No, I'm saying they don't turn into silver arrows automatically.
Oh, by the power of friendship, they don't just say,
Darn
hey,
it.
you know what, you've earned this. Oh, man. But yeah, no, that's straight out of a whole lot of different cartoon shows back in the day. Like, everyone's like, just wills hard enough and things just happen.
Modern cartoon shows too.
The design team was watching Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I'm gonna since Ganon's defeated, I'm gonna try to read this next one like the happy announcer.
Oh, all right.
Like everything just worked out. At Hyrule Castle, Link sees a vision of his father, mother, and uncle who congratulate him on his difficult victory and tell him to never forget the efforts of the many generations of knights and wise men that preceded him. The Dark World vanishes and releases all of the people who had been trapped there, returning the longed-for peace to Hyrule. Zelda is crowned the Queen of Hyrule and in turn appoints Link as the Master of the Knights of Hyrule. The young hero is then seen looking at the Master Sword back in its pedestal in the Lost Woods, when he then hears Zelda speak to him from behind. Podcat's here. She begins to comment on how although the bond between them was so strong when she was in Ganon's clutches, now that they are both free and at peace, their duties now keep them apart, leaving the queen to feel alone. As Zelda begins to gallop away on her horse, she confesses to Link that as long as she lives, she will never forget the time when they were together in their dreams. The comic's final scene shows the Master Sword overgrown by foliage as it sleeps, waiting for a new bearer when disaster befalls Hyrule again.
When they were together in their dreams. For real.
How fairy tale-y.
Yeah, your announcer voice for the uppity ending is very good, but this is actually kind of a somber.
Yeah, I noticed it towards halfway through it got a little sad, but I was sticking with the cheery until the last sentence. Oh, I'm so glad that we can't be together anymore.
I mean, I'm seeing a few elements of this that have kind of like made their way into later titles. I mean, having Link be the master of the knights, I feel like isn't that a Breath of the Wild point? Like, isn't that part of that story?
Yeah, he's the champion of the knights, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that this doesn't like mince the fact that the sword is sleeping, waiting for a new bear when disaster befalls Hyrule again, rather than the game where it says that the Master Sword goes back to sleep forever.
Yeah.
The note about the Master Sword sleeping forever was a point of contention for a very long time. They clearly just did not know that Zelda would be around this long. And just,
Pretty much.
wrote a cool ending.
Yeah, I mean, it is cool that they reference that in Skyward Sword when Fee basically says that. She's gonna go to sleep forever, even though that's not what actually happens with her, I guess, either.
I mean, should've.
Wow.
Someone didn't like
Be
Fee.
nice to Fi.
By the way, did you guys see the final picture there? Link's drip?
Yep.
And also that hairstyle? I mean, look at this guy. This guy looks like he could walk out onto the stage in the 80s and start singing like some Metallica or something.
I just playing Breath of the Wild, this little tiny sideburn thing coming down that kind of shapes into like a tear. That's the same style as Breath of the Wild Link, minus the man bun. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
He let his hair down in this picture, right? Just yeah. No, it's very fuzzy.
And his helmet also has horns on it.
I forgot about the helmet with horns on.
Whose helmet has horns?
Link is holding his helmet and it has horns on it. So if he had it
It
on, he
does.
would almost kind of look like a bad guy with two big old horns coming off the sides.
Isn't that what the knights all wear in the game, though?
Oh, I suppose that's true. He's the white knight. Still, funny to think about Link walking around with horns.
Wait, where did he get that armor set? Because the whole manga, he was just wearing the traditional green knight.
Well, that's after she made him the champion of the knights or the leader of the knights or whatever. So that's probably his special garment for the occasion.
Yeah, she just went into the closet and got it out.
I mean, it's got to be years later, right? I mean, because he looks a lot younger in all these other pictures too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not super clear how much longer after the ending is, but she's been crowned queen. They've had time to grow apart, so it's some time later.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that Link sees a vision of his father, mother, and uncle, but doesn't actually like rescue or find his actual father, mother, and uncle. And it's
Well, I think-
kind of bleak, but
Yeah, I think in that story they are actually dead. Like,
Yeah.
Aghanim just straight up kills his uncle at the beginning of the book.
right.
And his parents are a little more ambiguous, but I think they're presumed dead.
Right. Yeah. No. Well, that's the thing. Like, I always kind of assumed that his uncle was dead in the game too, but he through the wish brought him back, and it seems like that's not how the wish works in this one.
He wished wrong.
Like, I don't even know if it even mentions a whole lot changing with the wish.
Can you imagine like a parody video of just Link making the wish and the Triforce is granting this wish, and then the Triforce is like, I brought your uncle back to life, and what of your parents? And the Triforce is like, are you sure? I can bring them back. And he's like,
Never really knew him.
what about that bully guy?
So messed up.
You know, I didn't say anything earlier, but I had like an M. Night Shyamalan vision about when you beat Ganon. It's like Ganon's fading out and he's like, no, this is so familiar. And then Link walks up to the Triforce and the exact thing Fawn says. It's like, do you choose good or evil? You should see like Link get this evil smirk. It's like it all begins again. The twist.
My last name is Dragmire.
And Link's just forever fighting against the thing he will turn into.
Star Wars.
Link is Ganon. What? Ganon had 3 alter egos.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, it seems like his wish in this one was just to get back to Hyrule, which is real weak.
Weak
It's a
sauce.
super weak wish. We defeated Ganon. Okay, what do you wish for? It could be anything. I just want to go home. It's like, all right.
But what,
tired.
you have a mirror, right? Like you can, yeah. But I just bring me home.
It released everybody who was trapped there. Arguably, that's a pretty decent
Yeah,
sized
that's
thing to
true.
do. But no, that covers it though, guys. We're pretty much through it. That was A Link to the Past, both in the manga and the game, and it's been a real journey. I think that this is, it is a very good experience. I don't want to like compare it to other games yet, because I know that we usually do that in our season to season episodes. But I will say, like, I think this has been a great experience going through it again.
Coming from never playing it before, I thoroughly enjoyed this game as a first timer, and
Oh, I forgot
hate
about
myself for never playing it ever in my entire life, ever. Partly on fact of not having a Super Nintendo or running it through an emulator until the Switch actually had it as a virtual console. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was probably one of my top 3 Zelda games now
that. Yeah.
in terms of story.
Does it put a lot of other Zelda into context? Like, I feel like that's... Like,
Yeah, I kind of see where Zelda was formed, because T-Laws does a little bit of that, and Adventure of Link does none of that. And then I see where it was. Okay, Adventure of Link does a little bit, but
The Adventure of
see-
Link adds more than people give it credit for.
yeah. But I think this game really, people think Ocarina of Time like kind of set the structural component, but I'd like to argue this game did that, and Ocarina just sent the 3D components and kind of touched off
Yeah,
it.
this is the game that solidified the Zelda
Yeah.
genre, Zelda blueprint, how they make the Zelda games.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Ocarina of Time is a remake of A Link to the Past in 3D.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I think a lot of the critical changes, like, I prefer what we ended up with there. Like, if it had literally just been a 1-to-1 but in 3D, like, I don't know that I would have liked the story quite as much. But I do get, like, a lot of the elements, a lot of the ideas about each place being a different character growth theme, like it definitely, I definitely, you got to give credit where credit's due. Like, this game did a lot of that. I think one of the things
It
that
invented the hook shot.
didn't mention
Most
the who,
important thing it did.
Yes.
the what
Yes to that. The hook shot.
It started the hook
Invented the
shot.
hook shot.
did invent the hook shot.
Genius.
No, that's a wonderful point to make.
Never mind the Master Sword also being here.
Is the Master Sword really that important?
Yeah, where's the Golden Master Sword though? Like, why have we never gotten Golden Master Sword? I want Gaudy Link. I want white knight suit, purple back, red front, caped, horned white knight with the Golden Master Sword
Where's,
Link.
Where's that?
Where's my boy
skin
at?
in Breath of the Wild? I want that.
I was
armor
about to
set.
say, Breath of the Wild has a lot of skins you can play.
They do. It does, yeah.
You can get
it
the
does.
horned helmet for sure. You can change the color of the clothing. You can find something.
Probably get real close. I just don't think you can get the you just can't get that sweet haircut. That's really the issue. That's what I need.
Hopefully, Breath of the Wild 2 will have hairstyling.
Ooh, yeah.
Priority.
Mohawk Link.
If I can't make him look like a tree from the Lorax, I'm not interested.
Dress up is always the most important feature.
It is.
So does the SNES version of this game give you a prompt at the end telling you how many times you died
Yes.
throughout it?
I didn't see that.
T-Loss did.
In the credits, it shows you. Yeah, it actually says games played, which is a little bit misleading because it's like I don't know exactly what the criteria is, but I think if you like save and quit,
Was this?
it can sit. If you save and quit, I think it counts it quote as a game played, so it's not really counting deaths per se.
Wow.
But yes, if you wait until the very end of the credits, it breaks down how many times you died in each dungeon.
On the Game Boy Advance one, I don't remember what the exact wording was, but it definitely basically spelled out like times you died, and mine was 31.
Oh.
It was like after all the credits, that was the screen it stuck at until I like closed the entire game
Gotcha.
or hit start and went back to the main menu or something like that. But it sat at that screen.
Yes.
It must count fairy deaths too, right? Maybe.
I don't think it does actually.
I died 31 times just in Mothula.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, the first time I played, I definitely died more, but I don't remember ever seeing that counter. The Legend of Zelda had that counter, like the first one, at least on the digital, on the
Yeah, it shows it on the
virtual console. It shows it.
It's in every version. It shows it on the file select screen. I think
139 was my kill count. The first time I played that one, it killed me a lot. That game was wild.
Is that more or less than Elden Ring?
Oh, for sure less than Elden Ring. Oh my goodness. Elden Ring kills you around every corner. It's like the point.
Yeah, you see this guy holding tea in the corner of this dungeon? Yeah, he sneezed on you, you died.
Turns out it proc poison. You got death bladed, my man.
Yeah, you got death blade. Yeah, you're done. I hope you like being a tree.
All right. Well, if anybody, if there's anything else or nothing else, I should say, I guess we could go around the horn here and just kind of mention like what other creative projects we have going on. I know that, obviously, Josh, I give you the stage just to kind of share where people can find you and go from there.
Yeah, I never actually gave a whole intro, did I? So thanks for listening to a stranger for an hour.
I mean, you said hi.
Yeah, I said hi. So yeah, my name is Joshua Lindquist. I am one of the webmasters of Zelda Universe, which is the largest Legend of Zelda fan community, mostly stationed at zeldauniverse.net, but also at Zelda Universe or Zelda Universe TV on basically every social media and other type of platform there is, where we've got news guides, original articles, features, videos, etc. Everything we can get a team of volunteers to make at zeldauniverse.net. And then I also maintain zeldaarchive.org, which is a collection or archive of Zelda fan websites going back over 20 years. So I keep track of which ones are still around, which ones are still online, and we're working on building out kind of the story and history behind even the ones that are gone. So it's a big project and still ongoing, but that's the other project that I do for Zelda. And if you would like to listen to me ramble about Zelda and other things, you can follow me on Twitter at WatcherJoshua.
Nice. Great. No, I would definitely appreciate having you on the show, and I hope that we
happy to be here. It's always fun to talk about Zelda.
Yeah, hopefully we can continue to invite you on in later seasons and everything as well. That'd be fantastic.
Go for it. I'm happy to talk about any Zelda game and also derail the conversation into timelines and other various things.
Don't forget Ogre Battles 64.
Ogre Battle.
I do that also. It's not Zelda. I was trying not to derail the Zelda podcast into something completely unrelated.
We always derail all the time. It's great. It's good.
Cool. Anthony, you want to give a shout out to C-Motionals?
Yeah, so C-Motionals, we have started up again officially for the first month in, I want to say 7 months. And yeah, we're doing great things. We have a beach cleanup on July 27th for anyone located in Florida. And we are going to be doing New Smyrna Beach. It is fairly dirty, and a lot of the hotels don't actually, basically what's happening is a lot of the hotels can't afford to pay their beach cleanup crews, which most hotel beaches had that before the pandemic, and they can't afford it now. So that's where we come in. So yeah, we're doing that, and it's really great work. If anyone wants to come down, we have a social media, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, podcast, all under the name of C-Motionals. So dive in with us.
Good stuff. Y'all, if you wanna contact Cameron, you either gotta get into our Discord or you gotta contact our podcast.
Yeah, I don't do the whole social media.
Cameron's actually a secret AI robot that we have programmed to talk on our podcast.
Cam's a deep fake. No, but
does not compute.
Yeah, definitely get. But yeah, that is going to be the end of our show, though. So, y'all, thank you so much for listening. If you want to contact us at the show, you can do so through our website. It has links to all of our social medias as well, and that'll be a link to that right in the description of this episode. So yeah, definitely reach out to us. Let us know what your thoughts are on A Link to the Past now that we finished. And we will hope to hear from you then. Otherwise, we'll catch you in 2 weeks, and we hope you all have the best 2 weeks.
Stay happy, stay healthy, stay improving.
Did you get all that?